Okay, so this is my first video recorded on the new computer I built. First one I built. I'm very proud, guys. This means a lot of things for the quality of my videos, but I think the most important, the thing that annoyed me most, there are no longer any weird stutters when I switch out a character in my team, because I actually have enough space on my SSD to put Genshin on it. Rejoice. Also less of a weird stutter when I deploy a team, but still plenty of weird stutters in my line delivery. Hello! Should I go somewhere more appropriate for this? Let's hit up the academia and hope I don't get stun-locked by this cutscene. Okay, no. We're avoiding you for now. Sorry, Sino. I've always been a fan of Layla. I think she has one of the best character designs in the game. I loved her Hangout story quest. I think a lot of people agree with me on those points. But the keen among you may notice that neither of those things have anything to do with her kit. If you've been around any of my streams for any significant amount of time, you probably know my opinions on Layla. She's pretty, she's great, I love her. But good lord, does her kit do nothing. Her biggest upside that a lot of people tend to point out is that her shield is very strong. And that's true, she does have a very strong shield. It ranks around 2nd place in total effective health, only coming 2nd to Zhongli. Toma can beat it under certain scenarios if you do a lot of normal attacks. Lanyan also has that weird shield healing mechanic in her C2, and if you can make use of that, then she can have the strongest shield in the game. It's a little finicky, because to get more HP out of her shield, it needs to take damage but not break, and then you need to be able to heal it back up, which isn't like the hardest thing in the world. It's just a little more situational than the other shields. But Layla just provides that big strong shield right off the bat. And that is technically a thing that she does. Frankly, shielding as a utility is just not all that strong. When comparing the two defensive options of shielding and healing, healing often heals in larger numbers than shielders shield for, while shields have the additional upside of giving your character interruption resistance. Now, for a decent chunk of the game's lifespan, that was a fine enough balance. Shields tended to win out because of that interruption resistance, but then Farina happened, and made it so that all healing could be directly converted into damage. And so shielding has kind of been left by the wayside. But recently we have gotten 3 shielders. And I mean, 2 of them are good. Sorry, Dahlia fans. I basically have the exact same opinion about him as I do Layla. I just wish he was better. Anyways, to the 2 good ones, Lali just kind of has a shield as a side thing. It's definitely not her main utility. Her shield is fairly weak, and most of her utility comes in the buffs that she can bring to her team. And her cryo application. The additional resistance to interruption is just kind of a bonus. Lanyan is a bit more of a dedicated shielder. She actually does have a fairly strong shield, and her kit somewhat centers around it. But very similarly to Lali, a lot of her strength comes in the buffs that she can give to your team. They both give Res Shred, they both can hold TTDS, or Lali's signature weapon if you have it. They both offer offensive utility alongside their shields, because shielding alone just isn't enough to keep up anymore. And Lanyan can just become your DPS if you want to do that, so that's pretty cool. Even Dahlia, who is a consideration in some low investment Skirk teams, isn't really good because of his shield, but because of the buffs that he can potentially give her. Like any other unit, he can hold Noblesse. He gives an attack speed buff, which Skirk actually does care about a little bit. And probably most importantly, he can activate Calamity of Eshu, which is a very good free-to-play option for Skirk. His strength is not in the shield, it's in his shield being able to activate the passive for a weapon that does a lot of damage. Sorry to dunk on you so much, Layla. I'm really sorry. But I just do need to explain why shields are not the greatest. Even looking back, the only reason Zhongli is an option that you consider in some teams... Well, you're not beating these allegations, man. You really are that irritating. While he does have a big stinking shield that's very difficult to break, the strength isn't just the shield, it's the fact that he can hold buffing artifacts like Tenacity, although I know a lot of people kind of hate Tenacity Zhongli. So you could go like, I don't know, Scroll if you really want to. Petra's better numerically, but Scroll's easier. It's also the fact that that shield brings a small res shred for every single damage type. He's mainly there for the shield, but he provides enough offensive utility to basically offset the time that he spends on field. Layla doesn't provide nearly the offensive utility that our newer shielders provide, or even the amount of offensive utility Zhongli can provide. She pretty much just has the shield and the ability to hold supportive artifacts that almost anyone can hold. And I want to make it clear, just as I do with the rest of these videos, if you like Layla, if you like using her for her big shield, if you like her for her design, her personality, I am happy for you. Me too, except the shield part. I don't like shielders. If you can make use out of a unit that you enjoy, that's great. So if she doesn't have any offensive buffs, what is going on in her kit? I guess I shouldn't ignore that C4 is a buff. It grants an additive buff based on her HP to normal and charged attacks. Although because it's tied to her firing off shooting stars, you only get this buff like 2 or 3 times in a rotation. It's really not great. Although fun little thing with this, I love getting sidetracked. How this is supposed to work is that you hit with a normal or charged attack, you get this buff, but then you lose the buff after 0.05 seconds. This is supposed to act like a one-time thing, like you only get this buff on one hit, and that is how it works on most characters. But with Shaska, because her charged attacks hit in such quick succession, you can actually abuse this little window and get the buff on multiple charged attacks. It's still not like great. You should probably use Seat Lolly instead, but if your Seat Lolly is occupied or you don't have her, then like this is something you can do. Let's just look at the rest of her kit. Energy Constellation, whatever. Extra shield strength, whatever. Shield strength, whatever. Things only really get interesting at C6, which 40% increased damage on her shooting stars from her shield. 40% increased damage on her burst. That sounds kind of nice. Is she supposed to be a damage dealing character? You wish. Her burst pretty much just exists for damage. There are a few other things it does. I should probably go over her whole kit. I'll do that in a second. 8.8% of her max HP scaling at talent level 11. Now maybe this is a little unfair because I am comparing this to a 5-star, but yeah, let's look at Yelan for a second. Another HP scaler. 8.77 max HP. 3 times. And this procs pretty much once a second. How often does Layla's burst proc? About once every 1.5 seconds, every 2 seconds. Alright, so we're not really looking good. Her burst is only doing 1/6 of the damage that Yelan's burst does. Maybe a bit more is kept in her skill, right? Maybe. 20%. Oh, that's not bad. It's not HP scaling, it's attack scaling. It's 28% of her attack. Okay, but surely she gets HP scaling somewhere in her kit. 1.5% of her max HP. Okay, but surely she hits a ton with these stars, right? If she's supposed to be a damage dealer, then these have to be like 30 instances of 1.5 HP every 12 seconds, right?
Not now.
Wow. She gets 2 volleys of stars in 12 seconds. She deals 12% of her HP. Okay, alright, I'll be fair. I'll talk about how her kit actually works because I'm lying a little bit. There are things that you can do to increase the amount of stars that she generates, but even in a best case scenario, because the animation to launch the stars takes so long and you can't generate more until it's over, this tends to only result in 1 extra volley of stars. Wahoo! 18% of her HP. That is less than 1 proc of Yelan's burst across her entire skill duration. So yeah, basic outline. It generates stars over time. When you get to 4, all the stars get launched and they deal damage. Oh, okay, girl. Maybe I should put some artifacts on you. The stars technically don't only deal damage. They also increase your character's shield strength when they hit, so the shield will take less damage, and they regenerate energy at C2, but mainly they're there to deal damage. So the fact that they're dealing this little is kind of pathetic. Anyways, back to how you can generate some more. First way is doing skills will automatically generate 2 stars. We can see here, I got 3 volleys. Yeah, alright. After trying a little bit, I think 3 is the maximum amount of volleys that you're gonna get with skill spam. Other thing that generates you stars is, I don't know if it's listed in the talent. It should be. When her burst lands hits, it generates some stars. So let's see how many volleys of stars we can get by using her burst.
Stars, Shen, manifest. Let's light it up.
Maybe I could have squeezed out 4 there. Let me get that rotation better. I'll try until I can get a perfect rotation and see if I even get 4 volleys.
Stars, pull, unleash.
Launch. Kill. Oh, okay. Well, that's over. Also, yeah, if the shield breaks, then she just stops dealing damage through those stars. So you kind of can't even use the shield for what it's made for. If it breaks, she stops generating energy, she stops dealing damage through it, she stops, if she's holding tenacity, she stops buffing. It's a problem with shields in general, but because Layla has so much stuff tied to her shield, it's a little bit worse for her.
Pull, don't be scared. Obey.
Yeah, no, even with like perfect rotation, perfect cycling of the skills right when it's off cooldown, I can only get 3 volleys. Yippee! 18% HP scaling damage. And after that, that's the kit. It's done. There it is. She has a kind of bad but existent buff in her C4 that can be abused by one character to my knowledge. Maybe there's more, I don't know. She wastes her C6 and her Ascension 4 passive on increasing damage that is just miserable. Layla just does not have good scalings. And then she has a big shield. That's it. I mean, I don't mean any of this to rag on Layla. I really do love her. I am just disappointed. I say this all the time on stream. I just wish they didn't do her so dirty. I wish I wanted to use her in more situations. She can occasionally be a decent option, but she is just never a standout. And that makes me a little upset. And yet, I still really like her, and I want to use her. I want to use her. My first idea, and also a few of you guys's, was to lean into that scuffed identity of Layla being a damage dealer, and to, despite her miserable scalings, try my best to make her deal some real damage. And I tried. I think I have to just like live with not getting my my cryo crystallize. Look at this crazy damage, guys. I'm getting 2,000 damage skill ticks. Everything I think of, it's just like I would love to have a funny, insane idea that actually works with Layla, but she's just too scuffed in every category. Oh yeah, also, these have a special ICD. Only one of those stars can melt from her skill. I guess you could do it in like an Escoffier team, and she probably still wouldn't do a lot of damage. I get 5,000 on the first tick, and then 2,600 on the rest. Her burst hits 8 times and gets 4 melts. Really counting on you to be able to make Layla work? I'm sorry. She's just so... I wish there was something I could do with her. I really do wish there was something I could do with her. But her damage is just so stomped into the ground. I'm doing all this for a video that I'm probably never going to make because this is not like satisfying damage out of Layla, and there aren't really many ways to get satisfying damage out of Layla because she has a bad shouldn't say a bad element, but she has an element whose best reaction is amplifying and not transformative, so I can't just build her EM and get a ton of damage, and even if I could, she has very low application. So I wouldn't be triggering a lot of reactions with her, like in, like, say, Superconduct. But because her damage is scaled so low, there's very little, like, she gains very little from amplifying reactions. Even with these amplifying reactions, it might be better to build her for Superconduct damage just because her personal damage is so low. I tried so many times on stream, and every time, I was just disappointed. So I just put this idea on the back burner, and eventually, when the 5.7 banners were revealed, I knew what I had to do. I had to whip out the Shenhe. The thing that everyone knows Shenhe for is her skill buff, which is one of the very few flat buffs in the game. Well, it's kind of funny that I say that when I'm talking about Layla, because she has one of the only other flat buffs in the game. Instead of relying on the character's inherent talent scalings, Shenhe adds a portion of her own attack stat to the damage equation. I've gone over this in like every single past one of my videos, talking about Sethos, talking about Yunjin. Maybe more characters do have flat damage bonuses than I thought. Whatever, you probably get how it works by now. Shenhe takes 82.2% of her attack and adds it on to the inherent scalings of the character she's buffing. So this ability now deals 8.8% of Layla's max HP and 82.2% of Shenhe's attack. And then afterwards damage bonus applies, maybe if you have amplifying reactions going on, that applies, crit applies, so on. She increases the base scaling of your character's talent damage. That's why she's perfect for Layla, who, as we have gone over, has miserable scalings. I mean, it's still not really perfect because she still has miserable scalings, and it would be nicer if she didn't have them. And also Shenhe kind of has a little bit miserable scalings when comparing to modern units, but it helps patch up Layla and it makes her feel less horrible. This is still not a good team at all. This is not something I am going to bring into Abyss. It is just I really want to DPS Layla and this is the best I can do. And also I want to give a little side tangent about Shenhe, because I think if it doesn't happen now, it's never gonna happen. Shenhe's quills are kind of the thing that people know her for, and as a result, a lot of people tend to build Shenhe really badly. And you know, the most classic move is going 2-piece attack, 2-piece attack. When in general, noblesse is better. Actually, in this team, 2-piece attack probably would be better because Layla doesn't have attack scalings. In general, when Shenhe is buffing attack scaling units, noblesse is your go-to option. Because the 4-piece set gives a bigger buff than a 2-piece attack set bonus to your entire team. So while noblesse is going to result in less attack on Shenhe herself, it's going to give the rest of your team a bigger attack number. And her quill buff is not the only buff in her kit. Her burst shreds res up to 15% when it's crowned. It also gives cryo damage bonus if you're standing in it. She also gives extra forms of damage percent based on whether you tap or hold her skill. And while all these buffs are flat, you can't build for them the same way that you can build for the buff given through her skill. The buff given by her skill isn't good enough that you should ignore the buffs attached to her burst, especially if you have noblesse, which is her best option in most situations. My point of all this is do not neglect ER. ER is a valuable stat for Shenhe. After you've met your ER requirements, go crazy with attack because that is the only thing in her kit that you can build for. But I swear to God, if I see one more 120 ER Shenhe with 4,000 attack, I'm losing it. I won't know what to do anymore. That is a badly built Shenhe. Your Shenhe will do worse than mine. Also, I'm cheating because I have engulfing. Anyways, after that big rant about how her burst is worth using and noblesse is really good, let me swap to 2-piece attack. I actually don't know if I have a 2-piece option on her. Oh, I do. But I just don't have it leveled. I don't have my stuff leveled. I actually, maybe I need to get a 2-piece set for her built for situations like this. Because yeah, the only attack scaling damage that Layla is doing is the 28% coming from her skill. And yeah, in this situation, giving more attack to Shenhe herself is the move over giving more attack to the entire team. So you guys got me. This actually is the one situation in which you would want to do a 2-piece attack build on Shenhe. Not the one, but actually maybe the one. I think Layla is the only cryo character who does HP scaling damage. In any case, this is disgusting. Anyways, what's going on with the rest of the team? Yeah, but you don't really need to be here, buddy. Oh, also you don't need to be on this set. What are we doing? I guess I should probably talk about it. I originally played this team, and Bennett, he wasn't really here for the attack buff, because, you know, I just said it, Layla has miserable attack scalings. He was there for the pyro infusion so I could on-field Layla and get melts off of her skill and burst. And let me be clear, Layla has terrible application. Melt is probably not the way to go for her. Her skill stars hit 4 times, but only the first star in each volley will apply cryo, so only the first one can melt. And I think her burst is every other hit applies. In and of itself, every other hit sounds kind of good, but because it hits so slowly, you're still not getting a ton of melts. What I'm trying to say is, Escoffier is 100% the option you want to go with. I don't have Escoffier. Getting the consistency from Escoffier's res shred and getting Furina's damage percent on top of Shenhe's quills are gonna make Layla do a lot more consistent strong damage. Strong. I shouldn't say strong. It won't be strong. You're still gonna be getting carried by Escoffier and Furina. But that is probably the team where you're gonna be getting the highest DPS out of Layla herself. I do not have access to that team, so we will be doing Melt. Also, Melt gets her the biggest numbers, and when we're doing a character who doesn't really deal great damage no matter what, I kind of prefer to go for the biggest numbers rather than the best DPS. Because in most cases, best DPS won't really matter, but big number is always funny. And then she can also use Marashose in that team, which is a nice upside. Honestly, I might just run her on Emblem, because my Emblem set is quite strong. No, I'll put her on a 2-piece. I think my 2-piece options are good enough for that. Harbinger, 183, yippee! That's a pretty cracked ratio. I have some ridiculous artifacts on her and Harbinger, and she is still not gonna do very much damage. Got her on a 2-piece, HP EM. I actually didn't even check. She's a 232 EM. That's quite powerful. Instructor Bennett, Noblesse Shenhe, but again, 2-piece is definitely going to be your go-to in this team. I'll make up for that by the fact that I am holding Engulfing Lightning. Let's just pretend that this is a Fab Shenhe on a 2-piece build, okay? Let's just do that. It'll be kind of the same attack, right? Probably a little bit better, but whatever. Layla needs all the help she can get. And then, of course, we have... Oh, nope, we do not have Scroll. Now we have Scroll. Now we have Scroll. There we go. Scroll. I'm going to try this one for a moment and use the Pyro-infused normal attacks, or just like on-field Bennett to... I don't want to go against this guy. Let me go put my waypoint at my guy. I'm interrupting myself again. I'm using my Pyro-infused normal attacks and potentially on-field Bennett to get some good melts off with Layla, generate some stars. Let's just get into it. I also have another team that I'm gonna do after this one. Simulate the Furina Escoffier one by having it so Layla's not the one actually dealing the real damage. But it'll be a setup where she can deal some damage. In any case, if you want a DPS Layla team to do well, you just always kind of have to pretend that she's the DPS. One of your other characters is always going to have to deal more damage if you want a DPS Layla team to succeed. It's sad, but I mean, it's the truth. I also forgot my rotation, so don't really pay attention to me. I'm supposed to Shenhe skill twice here, because that's how you make Shenhe good.
Obey! By ordinance divine! Teamwork is dreamwork! Let's light it up! My guiding stars, don't be scared. Manifest!
28k I'm seeing, yeah!
Let's light it up!
Woo, you go girl, 28k. What a massive number. How low did I get him? Half the health bar, less than half the health bar in one rotation. I also maybe don't have exactly enough energy on Shenhe.
Cryo incarnate! Bring it! Everybody stand back! The night is cold. Cold. Mine to command. Manifest! Let's light it up!
21k. I don't know if that was a buff hit. I'm assuming it was. That's pretty nice, right? Come on, guys. 8,000. Oh, and then you see the unbuffed hits are doing 1,500. Yeah, if you're just wondering how necessary Shenhe is, then there you go. With her inherent scalings, she is dealing less than a quarter of the damage that she deals with Shenhe. Jesus Christ. It is dire. The situation is dire. Yeah, so there it is. There's one of the best feeling DPS Layla teams that I could find, and the biggest numbers that she does are a sick 28,000s. That is the best that we are doing. So imagine all the teams that I tried that I was not happy to show off in an edited video.
5,000 on the first tick.
The standards here, they're low. They really are low. But anything to see Layla get a little bit of use. Now the other team I want to try, I actually might stick Bennett. The issue here is just that there are not a ton of buffing options. Anyways, I just want to go burnmelt.
The pleasure is all
I
mine.
want to go burnmelt because Emily will save us. Emily will save us. She will deal real damage, and we can pretend that Layla is doing all the damage. We just don't look at the green numbers, and we're all fixed. Actually here, you know what?
This world is full of unsolved
This is making the most sense to me. If we can get a scroll buff going, we'll hope, you're looking okay, I guess. Let's just hope you have enough energy to rotate.
Extract! Manifest! By ordinance divine! Don't be scared.
There's no real point to like on-fielding anyone here.
Rush and whirl! Manifest! Do your master's... Ugh!
Wow, guys, look at all that damage that look at all that damage that Layla did. She killed the boss. I'll be honest, I was not even looking at Layla's numbers there. I was just more focused on finding a rotation. Oh, girl, Emily, your skill, it lasts too long. It's too powerful.
Not
They're gonna kill you. They're gonna kill you. Your sauce is too clean. They're gonna come for your foams, my girl.
reconstitute!
Don't look at the green numbers.
Fire incarnate! My guiding stars! Don't be scared!
18k. 17k.
Unleash! Hip!
15k. It's worse. It is indeed worse.
Your master's bidding! Manifest! Not now! Stars, shine for me!
It is indeed doing less damage on... Hey, what happened to Shenhe? How did she even die? What? It is doing worse damage than the other team. It's doing worse Layla damage than the other team. But it's functional because Emily is here to save us. It also doesn't feel horrible, but maybe that's just because I like playing Emily so much. Hehe. And yeah, that's just kind of it with Layla. Editing me's here. I mean, you can see throughout the testing, I certainly missed seeing some of Layla's largest numbers. I only caught them during editing. And in the live recording of this video, I think I just left it on more of a negative note than I would have liked. Particularly for this team. I actually did have a decent amount of fun in this team, and it's not like Layla's doing nothing. She's just not doing a particularly large amount. She's doing okay. She's still not good enough that I would really consider attempting endgame with her, but I did enjoy myself, and I do think she did better than I thought she would. In general, I do still wish she was balanced a little more favorably, because yeah, her numbers are not good. But I had some fun with this video, and she did well enough. Hope you enjoyed. Have a lovely day.